So, Mike, I understand that this past weekend you took a little trip, and it's a passion of yours that maybe no one on the podcast knows about. You've talked about it, I think, a couple times on the pod, but I find it super interesting. It's not every day that you meet someone or have a friend of someone who likes to snowboard and who has a decent history with snowboarding. I know you said you've snowboarded for many years. Don't claim to be a professional or anything like that,
No, no, definitely
but it's
not.
something that yeah, it's something that you really enjoy. And unless you're in an area where it's prevalent and popular, you don't really hear of too many people going on a weekend snowboarding trip. At least in my daily life, I don't hear that very often. And I'm assuming, even though you do it, there's probably only one or two other people in your entire life that you are able to take these trips with. I thought it would be cool, dude, to just kind of start the show out this and just talk about uh your love for snowboarding, how you got into snowboarding, and some of the trips that you've taken, maybe some of the places that you go. Because, dude, in my opinion, like snowboarding and skateboarding, even, you could probably draw some parallels between the two, but just people that do those two activities, in my opinion, are just
Yeah,
insane, man. Especially people that have really mastered it. Skateboarding, obviously, you're going to hit that pavement, bro, if you don't land that trick, or
oh
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And then snowboarding, of course, is dangerous in itself with the elevations and all that. I just wanted to open, I know that's something that we typically don't do on this show, is open the show up with just a random subject. But I
yeah.
think ever since you told me about your trip this weekend, man, it intrigued me, and I wanted to know more, but I felt like it was necessary to save those conversations for the podcast tonight. So have at it,
Good,
brother.
bro. Yeah, no, man, that's cool, man. I could definitely talk about that. But yeah, definitely not a professional. Glad you put that out there. I can ride and enjoy it, and that's good enough for me, I believe. And at my age, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not hitting any terrain park much anymore. And I did a little bit. It was never nothing crazy. It's
Yeah.
probably, to me, it probably felt way better than what it really was when I hit like a small jump or something and it feels like I'm Sean White out there. But no, man, and you're right. I had a group of friends that I've always kind of went with. Like I've had like a select few that throughout time that I can go with, and it's just
Oh,
not something everybody does all the time. I've been a lot of people that's tried it or something. Because that's another thing. It's not something that I know a lot of people that go the first time or maybe even the second time and they just kind of quit
yeah.
after, because it's one of the most frustrating things I ever started. I'll tell you that it was the first time was not a good time. And I tell people that a lot. It might not be so, but once you get to the point that you can comfortably, ride it, it can be a lot of fun. Um, but in this area too, I think it's kind of another reason, that we just this East Tennessee where we're at, we don't see a ton of it. We can, of course, I drive over to North Carolina. We went to Ski Beach this past weekend, um, and I think we got snowstorm came through this weekend. Glad we didn't go on Saturday though, because the conditions were pretty terrible up there with just the
Yeah.
road conditions, and the wind was really bad. And um, Sunday was a lot better. Road was clear once we got up towards that way. There were still some places on the way, but it still got really cold that night. We definitely quit a little early because that wind, man, was whipping
Yeah.
up there, and it was in some negative wind chills. But overall, the trip was a lot of fun. We definitely had a blast. It honestly started when I was in college, man. I was 19, I think, when I first really went. Like I think I'd went once in high school, and I skied once in high school.
Yeah.
But I bought a board and bindings and boots, like some just a cheap set, and and maybe that's not the smartest thing to do. I'm not suggesting going and buying something right off the rip, but I did it. I had a couple of friends that went, so I was like, well, I want to learn how to
Yeah.
do this. And man, it was one of those things they show you a couple of times, kind of how you do it, and after that, they were hitting the mountain, dude, and I was just trying my best to learn. I spent more
Yeah.
time sitting down in the snow than I actually did standing up boarding the first time. So I was pretty discouraged the first time going. Then the second time, man, it started to kind of click a little bit. and buying the board, buying the bindings, stuff like that. I'm glad I did that because it made me stick with it more
Mhm.
than if I would have just kind of maybe rented the first time, and as expensive it is to rent, I might have gave up before I even got to the point of doing something that now I just love to do it. It's a little different now that I'm a little older. It hurts a little more. I hit a
Yeah.
nice little ice patch this last go
Oh
around, and
man.
anybody that snowboards on the East Coast will know that feeling. So that definitely isn't the quickest recovery. I had a sore back today, at work. So, um, but yeah, I got started in college, man. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling on it, but it was just
Nah.
it was
Well,
more so just like some buddies that went, and
yeah.
we used to joke. There's this college up there, Lee's McRae, is really close to like Beach Mountain and Sugar Mountain. It's two that mainly go to. Um, we used to always joke though and say, man, if we went to college there, we would have failed out because we would skip class sometimes, even living where we live, and we would just drive on over some days. Um,
So,
but
dude,
yeah,
it sounds like to me that you said it started in college. You were probably like 19, 20, somewhere in that range.
yeah,
And it sounds like to me, if I heard you correctly, that you just, the very first time you ever went, you went ahead and just bought the stuff. Is that what I heard you say?
yeah, dude.
Like
I
you
had
never
I had
you
been
never went and borrowed somebody's board first and or rented one
so
first. You just
to be fair, I went one time briefly, like in I think I was in middle school or
okay.
high school. It did not go well, so I didn't think I would go
Okay.
again. Yeah, but I don't really start it until like then when I was like 19, because that's when I actually started going.
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
skied once before too, so I had been on a mountain at least. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, it had been years, and before just renting or borrowing a board, I just bought a setup right before I went there, and you could essentially say that's when I started because it
Yeah.
was not good. And
So,
yeah, at
so
first I thought maybe I wasted some money.
yeah, you just dove right into it. It sounds
Yeah,
like, I mean, more or less, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That
yeah,
sounds a lot like my very brief golf career that I had.
uh,
Which I'm not opposed to going
yeah,
anymore. I would love to go at some point soon. I haven't been in probably over a year.
yeah,
But no, it's been well over a year actually. But I got a secondhand set of golf clubs off of Facebook Marketplace. You know, $50, $30, something like that.
yeah.
Mix match. None of it was name brand. It was exactly what I needed it for.
Oh yeah.
Went several times, dude. I'm talking several times, and those shots. And I really don't want to go down the whole golf route because you could spend an entire podcast talking about golf.
Yeah.
But I'm leading into something here. So those couple shots throughout the course of a round of golf that you play that they're the ones that kind of suck you in and keep you coming back. And
Oh
it,
yeah,
and it
dude. That pretty
and,
shot that just
yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
the shots will make you be so delusional that you think you've mastered the game or something. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. You hit that
Dude,
one shot out of like
yeah.
100 that day. You're like,
Yeah.
let's go.
So shortly after my time with my second hand set, I mean, I'm talking like, it takes people, well, really their whole life to master the game. Not too many people have actually ever mastered the game unless you're on the pro level. But,
Yeah.
I played probably a few months, and me being me, and this is what makes me think of this situation in comparison to your snowboard situation. Me being me, and the way that I am, after playing for a couple months with that secondhand set, I go to Dick's Sporting Goods, get a Dick's Sporting Goods credit card, mind you.
Nice.
Didn't really even have the money to buy a good set, but the credit card had all
Yeah.
the money I needed.
Yeah.
Swapped that thing for a freaking set of clubs that's so far out of my league and out of my skill level. Got tailor made entire set of irons all the way, from 3 or 4 iron all the way up. Tailor made driver, tailor made hybrid, like just something so stupid. for
Yeah.
someone that's only played for a few months. But that was just my personality, and that's how I treated it, and that's how I looked at it. If I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to go all in. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Come to find out later on that so many people that get introduced to golf start out that way and make that mistake of not putting in the time with like a cheaper set of clubs. You feed into
Yeah.
like, well, if you have the better equipment, you'll play better and all this stuff. But when you said you just bought a board off rip and some of the equipment off rip, that's what popped into my mind for a
Yeah.
situation like that I could relate to. The only story that I have when it comes to snow sports and stuff like that, I've never been snowboarding, but in high school, it was either the year after I graduated or the year that I graduated, but I was still in school. I hadn't graduated yet. A buddy of
Yeah.
mine's mom took me, him, and his sister to, I think, Ski Beach, actually. And I
Yeah.
actually skied one time in my life. And dude, I'll be honest with you, that one time, I can't believe I never went back. But that
Yeah.
one time that I skied, dude, I actually did fall in love with, like, I had so much fun that day. I don't know if it was because I was with him and we were having a good time or
Yeah.
what, but it was just like the adrenaline rush of going, and I'm sure that's what you feel when you get on
Oh
the
yeah.
board. The adrenaline rush of just going down that mountain and like, one wrong move and you could really mess yourself up. But it's like
Yeah.
there's something else inside you that wants to try to gain as much speed as possible and all that. I'd love to go again, but like you said, with
Yeah.
age and the shape that I'm in currently, I don't know that it would be the best thing for me to do. Maybe hit some of the
Yeah.
beginner slopes or something like that. But
Yeah, I think the key would definitely be to take it easy early on. It is easier to
yeah,
learn when you're younger. Like now, like using now, I can go and like go through a time of not, and not wrecking. Like that's like the only wreck I had.
yeah,
This weekend made me sore though because it was
yeah.
on ice, and that feels like concrete. Skateboarders are
Mm,
crazy, man. You talk about skateboarding, but to be on
yeah,
concrete, but that is the one thing comparable is when you wreck on ice. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, dude, it was fun, and it's always a good time. And there is the adrenaline rush, but then there's also a piece to it when like
mm,
I'm really kind of just sometimes I'll just I do like to push it and you want to get fast and you want to go, and then there's some runs I just want to like cruise down through there, man. Like I'm not even
yeah,
worried about the speed. I'm just out there having a good time. And
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely something fun to do. Now, and there's people now that live over there that are around all that stuff. I'm sure they got tons of friends that do it and out west, and that's something I want to do is go out west and snowboard in Colorado at some point
oh yeah,
before I have to put it down and can't snowboard anymore. I definitely want to go out west. I feel like I owe it myself to at least get some fresh snow and not so much ice and stuff like we see on this side. At least around us.
yeah.
I've been to Snowshoe in West Virginia, and it was a lot better.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's a lot bigger too, and they get a little bit, they get more snow, so kind of makes a
Yeah,
difference. But you know, Beach and Sugar, man, shout out to them. They're cool places in North Carolina. I
yeah.
always enjoy it. Catch it when it's not crowded. That's the key.
Mm,
Or on week, I try to avoid weekends, but sometimes you got to go when you got to go at this point. But that price
yeah,
goes up, and usually the crowd goes up. But it wasn't bad this
yeah,
weekend. I guess nobody really wanted to get out in that cold weather. It was real cold though, I will
yeah.
say. Um, And it's
Oh
wild
yeah,
because like
yeah.
normally, man, the,
Well,
the jackets and stuff that we got block the wind, but I started feeling
mhm,
it later, and I've never like that. That's probably the coldest I've ever been.
mm,
Or as far as going skiing and snowboarding, that's the coldest I've ever went in when it was down
yeah.
in the negatives. So
Yeah, well, I mean, even today, dude, I mean, you look at this morning, when we got up for work, the temperature on the way to work this morning was -3. Uh,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
crazy,
that's
dude.
just, that's a different level of cold, man. I mean, I know that there's some high dollar jackets out there and stuff to keep you warm and everything like that, but certain temperatures mixed with
Yeah,
the right type of wind power and all that, dude, it ain't gonna matter what you got on. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's certain temperatures that you
I
really
know.
should probably not even be outside.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Felt like this morning was
that's
one
not.
of those.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
It's one of those
Um,
mornings at work. I was like,
yeah, dude, it was bad. Um, But yeah, man, I know that was a little different. Sorry to put you on the spot. I didn't even give you a
No,
warning
no,
that I planned on starting the show out with that, but I thought it was cool to bring
no.
that to light because that's awesome, man. I mean, there's so often in life, it's so easy to get caught up in the daily routine of life and, you know,
Yeah, dude.
going to work, coming home, going to sleep, eating, going to work, coming home, taking
Yeah,
a shower, eating, going to sleep. I mean, you get so wrapped up in this daily routine that it's almost and it sounds crazy to say it, but I've experienced this myself. Anything outside of that routine is almost like a nuisance. Even if it's something fun or something enjoyable, it's
yeah,
like, but I got to get up and go to work tomorrow. And that's a sad way to look at it, but it's so cool that you have that for yourself, something
yeah.
that you really enjoy, have a passion for, man. And I'm glad you got to do that this weekend, bro. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. And no, you're right. Like routines are so easy to get in,
Yep.
and it like seems like it's just a lot of work to go do something fun.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like when you're talking about fun things you've done in your past, or you're talking about things you in your life, those experiences and stuff. I feel like what you're really gonna remember. And like
Hmm.
I always say this, man, and you know this, like I work and stuff is what I do for a job. You know, that's
Yep.
for the money to have to go do things to pay bills and stuff. The work isn't my
Right.
life, man. So like that's not, what I like to find my life based on. So
Right.
I really try to get out and enjoy those, those things when I'm out not working, and try to make the most of stuff like that and travels and stuff. I'd
Yep.
much rather spend money on doing that type of experiences and stuff, man, than just a lot of material things, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. You can't take that type of stuff with you when you go, man. I
Yeah,
mean, but those
yeah,
memories, like you said, take a picture. A picture's worth 1,000 words, they say.
yeah,
At the end of the day, man, memories are really all we have. And this
for
year,
sure.
dude, I plan on. You and I actually talked about it a little bit this today. Actually, it's got so much stuff planned for this year, and with you with your upcoming trip to Las Vegas, you've got coming
Yeah,
up. My family and I are taking a beach trip together in May, got other stuff later on in the summer and on into the fall
yeah,
that I have planned as well. So I mean, it's going to be an action-packed year for me and my family, and looking forward to it, dude. And I hope to share. Michael and I talked about this today. We hope to share some of these memories and just get on the pod and talk about some of the stuff that we've done this year or we're going to do this year. So that'll be
yeah, dude.
super fun, man. Looking forward to that. Um, and honestly, some of it is probably because we're in the off season and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But we need to we're going to have conversations like this just because there's more to what we wanted to do with this podcast in general, other than college football. But
yeah,
with that being said, we are still a college football podcast. And
for sure.
there are things going on within the world of college football that we still need to bring up in this episode today. Um, think we're going to try to touch on some portal stuff, not really dive too deep into it, but just give a broad overview of what it
Mhm.
is. We got a little bit of news on Joey Aguilar today for all the Tennessee fans out there, including us. I say we start right there, Mike, with what broke. I don't know that you would call this breaking news or anything. It's just kind of a change in course, is how I would interpret it. But
Yeah,
Joey Aguilar actually filed his own lawsuit against the NCAA in Tennessee State Court, seeking an extra year of eligibility to play quarterback for the Vols in 2026. He was originally attached to a federal case alongside Diego Pavia, and I think there's some other players in there as well. But Aguilar was originally a plaintiff in Diego Pavia's federal antitrust lawsuit, challenging how the NCAA counts junior college seasons towards the 4 seasons and 5 years of eligibility in Division I football. So, from my understanding, Mike, just looking at all this, it says Aguilar has now sued the NCAA in Knox County Chancery Court, arguing that his 2 junior college seasons should not count against his NCAA eligibility clock, and that he should be allowed a fourth season of Division I football in 2026. So, I mean, this is all stuff that we already know that he's been trying to
yeah.
do, but now he's kind of separated and formed his own lawsuit. uh, how do you feel about this, Mike? I mean, is this a situation where as a Tennessee fan, are you kind of rooting for this? Do you want to see him back? Do you want to move on? What do you how do you feel about it, man?
First thing, it's just, I mean, it definitely shows, I guess, that he's really pursuing it now. Because I was even wondering, was he actually even pursuing it, or was he just part of that Diego? But you know what I'm saying? Like just like it would
Right.
almost been like collateral of that Diego Pavia um,
Hmm.
lawsuit. So it does show he's actively pursuing it now. One thing I don't want to do is get any type of hope up of anything like that. I still don't know that I still don't believe necessarily that that's going to happen. Um,
Right.
so it's kind of one of those things where, I'm not obviously if he can play another year, it's going to be better for Tennessee football, in my opinion, if he can play next year.
Yeah.
Because he
Right.
did have some moments. I know last year that he had a couple times where he got a little rattled or he threw some interceptions, but he
Hmm.
was not the problem last year, man. If anything, he was one of the standout parts
Yep.
of the season. Um, and I would like for him to have a chance to end his career better than how he did um, last year. Not
Yep.
saying he would if he played another year, but it would give him the opportunity. Um, and if GMAC's going to be the guy, man, I definitely good to go with that, and I'm gonna pull for him and hope he does well. But I mean, if you're going to say that there's another chance of Joey Aguilar coming back, in
Yeah.
my opinion, man, I'm taking that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because you gotta,
Yeah.
and again, it's kind of that best case scenario I talked about at one point with like Joey Aguilar being a veteran, he's back playing. Your 5 star is coming in, or well, I guess the 4 star now, or however they label them. Probably once they committed to Tennessee, it was drops you down a
Yeah.
star, I guess. But he's you got them to play behind Joey for a year, and then and see how that kind of goes. Um, and there's some offensive weapons next year. I mean, we talk the defense obviously is kind of up in the air with the new defensive coaching. We got some players that did come in. We got some players that left. So I don't know what to expect really truly from the defense, but
Hmm.
and there'll be more talk to that once the season gets closer next year, into the next one. But I would just like to see him have another shot if it's going to happen. I'm not gonna get my hopes up. I have no expectation of it, but if it does happen, I'm not
Yeah.
going to be mad. That's a quick sum up,
Yeah.
I guess, of it.
No, man, I'm with you. I think if you have an opportunity to have him back for another season, you jump at it and hold on to it if you're Tennessee.
Yeah.
By no means, and yeah, I don't know if it hurts you while you're waiting or what, because it's not going to be a secret that if he wins this thing, Tennessee's going to take him back. How does the next man up feel? Kind of being
Yeah.
on the back burner and waiting around to hear what's going to happen with Joey Aguilar.
Yeah.
I would imagine that probably doesn't feel too good to maybe someone like GMAC or even Phase on Brandon.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but I mean, you can't. You have to grab that opportunity if you're Tennessee to have
Yeah.
another year with him, veteran quarterback. I mean, he already knows the system, almost
Gives him another
mastered the
year in
system,
that
and
system too, so
yeah,
it'll be
and
crazy.
in 1 year almost mastered that system. I mean, I
Yeah.
would say, I mean, he ran that
Yeah.
system better than anyone since Hooker ran it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of weird stuff going on with this man, and I'm no lawyer. I don't really
Yeah.
know what half this stuff means, but it says here, and I thought this is kind of wild. It says the complaint says Tennessee has a 2026 roster spot for him and projects his NIL compensation at about $2 million if he's allowed to return. This is the part that I thought was kind of crazy. Joey Aguilar is seeking a temporary restraining order first, then a longer term injunction that would block the NCAA from enforcing its current eligibility rules against him. So it's like there's like a timeline right now, from my
Yeah.
understanding, where Joey Aguilar is going to file, I guess, a temporary restraining order to where the NCAA can't do anything to him until all this is settled. It says a preliminary injunction hearing in the broader Pavia case is scheduled for February 10th. And its outcome could indirectly affect Aguilar, even though he is no longer a plaintiff, whatever that means. As of now, the latest public update is that Tennessee State court case has been filed, and his
Yeah.
dismissal from the federal case is complete. So I don't really. Sorry, I got into all that. It's just
Yeah.
it's just weird. I can't really wrap my head around it. I do know that the same lawyer that Tennessee hired with the whole NCAA lawsuit when it came to Nico and whatever happened with that situation. You remember that?
Yeah.
Joey Aguilar has hired that same attorney. So for whatever
Yeah.
that's worth, Tennessee won that case. So anyway, just
Isn't it,
crazy stuff, man. College
bro?
football's wild.
What if Joey won it and he had like another year of eligibility, but he transferred? Like how
He
mad would
went to
Knoxville be,
Indiana.
man? Yeah, like how mad would Knoxville be, bro? Like
Well,
I'm laughing
he
like I
would go
wouldn't
from
be
being
aggravated myself, but
yeah, like he would go from being like super revered and like underdog story to like
yeah,
people burning
like
his jerseys, and I mean,
you get a full celebration of Tennessee fans when he find out he wins it, and then they find out he requests a transfer. That would
oh,
suck, man. I
dude,
don't know why. I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm just it would be kind of
cut,
comical, but
yeah, like the fan in me would say that it sucks and I would hate it, but
yeah,
just the normal dude that would, I mean, that's just hilarious. It would just be
it would
absolutely
be
hilarious if
hilarious.
that happened. But anyway, speaking of transferring, speaking of this crazy world of college football that we live in, um, looking at everything on On3's website, Mike. Here, I've got the 2026 college football team transfer portal rankings. So the portal's undeniable. It's a game changer for some teams. It's detrimental for other teams.
Yeah,
You're constantly moving players in and out. You're losing guys. You're bringing in guys. You're trying to find cohesion every single season, man. You're trying to build. They're essentially building new teams every single season. You know, teams are
yeah,
pretty much starting from scratch every single season.
yeah,
Um, and now it's so popular, and now it's such a big deal and a big thing that we rank how well teams did in the portal. You know, it used to just be how good did they do in high school recruiting,
yeah,
so on and so forth. And I'm not saying now they've been doing this, but it's just so crazy to think about how important this thing has become and how big
yeah.
of a game changer it could be. Mike, I know you've got it pulled up too, bro. What are some of the standout things that you see on this transfer portal rankings for the teams this year so far, man?
Well, definitely seen some interesting things. There's
Yeah.
the obvious Indiana's number one on that,
Hmm.
which I find interesting of an Indiana team who's on fire, obviously right now.
Yep.
10-2 a couple years ago, went undefeated last year, wins a championship, has the coach right now. It seems like. So
Yep.
them going number one in this transfer portal, it makes sense, but it seems dangerous, man. We might be walking
Yep.
into Indiana being uh, not just a one-time deal, potentially like in there in the talks in the college football world now. You know, Indiana was not any football school by any means. When they might be good at football, or obviously they were good at football the last couple of years, but they may be like as a program now, a football program. You know what I mean? So uh, that was interesting to see them as the number one. But one of the things I want to point out, dude, Lane Kiffin effect already in LSU, man. LSU number
Oh yeah.
two in these portal rankings. I mean, they got the quarterback, the number one quarterback in the transfer portal, right? If I'm pretty sure he was the number one.
Yeah.
Um, and so I mean, here they are, man, just already getting these recruits, and there's it's LSU, they're a big football program regardless, but I
Hmm.
do think there's a Lane Kiffin effect going on down there, man.
Yeah.
And I think we're about to see LSU be really good at offense, and um, he's an offensive guy, so look at Ole Miss, but I don't know, man. Lane Kiffin might be dangerous at LSU, dude. Um, you might be seeing LSU kind of back into that strong football
Yep.
program. I really do think that he could be dangerous there, but not to ramble on that anymore. But I did want to mention that. Um, And then a couple teams on here that did surprise me. Um, and Texas Tech's at number three. Look how good their defense was. I'm not going to sit here and
Yep.
read down these, so I'm just going to.
No, you're good. You're good, brother.
That was another one I was kind of. But Louisville and Virginia Tech, dude, are in the top 10.
Yeah.
Louisville's 5 and Virginia Tech 6. So we're already seeing the Virginia Tech effect in there, with the new coach there and everything. So could we see Virginia Tech get good at football again? I feel like Virginia Tech needs to be good at football, man.
Yeah. They
They
do,
got the
man.
atmosphere. The atmosphere is wild, man. I've been to a
Yeah.
Virginia Tech game, and intro's insane. Everybody knows about the intro, but it is just when the Virginia Tech is good at football, it's that
Yeah.
much better. It's that much sweeter, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
I
yeah.
think, uh, I forgot his name for a second, but James Franklin, you know,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's correct. Yes. So I had a complete brain block there for a second, but yeah, man,
Yeah.
he's already. I think Penn State's crazy when they got rid of him, but I think he's gonna. I'm not saying Virginia Tech's going to playoffs, so don't take that out of.
Right.
Don't take my words here and twist them and say that I said that Virginia Tech's going to win the Natty next year or something. I just think Virginia Tech might be competitive, and they've been
Yep.
down for a lot of years. So
Yeah, they have.
um, it'd be cool to see. It'd be cool to see them, and seeing them right there in that transfer portal tells me that there's players wanting to go there for. There's an excitement around that new coach, right? So
Yeah.
um, that's something I wanted to point out. You go ahead, and if I'm sure there's some things you want to talk about and really point out there. There's just some really things that stood out to me on this
Yeah.
with the teams coming up this year, the rankings of this.
Yeah. Well, something that sticks out to me, and I'm going to mention the two teams that you really emphasized there in LSU and Virginia Tech. You can't tell me that these guys aren't sitting back and just watching what Signetti did last year or
Yeah.
this year. This we're still. I know the season's over, but I'm going to just continue to say this year. You
Mhm.
can't tell me that these guys haven't sat back and learned and studied and kind of deep dived into how he did it, what he did to achieve the undefeated
Mhm.
season with the players that he had in the national championship. So
Yep.
when you put someone at LSU who at their time at Ole Miss was already a good recruiter and already put together good teams like Lane Kiffin, you put the power and the brand and the atmosphere and the history and the tradition of LSU behind a person like that who was already a master of the portal, so to speak. You
Yep.
mix those two things together, and you're probably going to be looking at something very, very scary.
Yep.
Um, and and as far as Virginia Tech, like you said, I mean James Franklin, a guy who just a couple years ago had a team, competing for a national championship. I mean, making their way through the playoffs and getting close to that main goal. Um, you know, you take a dead program like Virginia Tech, who hasn't had success since Michael Vick was there, and you think about
Yeah.
that for a minute. We're talking late '90s here. Much like another team that I love and dear so much. Um, but you take a team like that who hasn't seen success since the late '90s, dude, and
Yep.
all of a sudden you inject them with a little bit of hope and a little bit of prayer and a little bit of excitement. And having the number 6 portal class for Virginia Tech is insane. Now, other things that I wanted to touch on. You look at this list and it can be a little misleading because
Yeah.
you're looking at this list, and when you think rankings, you're automatically thinking, top 25 APs and stuff like that. You have to scroll down this list a ways before you start seeing the likes of Ohio State and the likes of Alabama
Yes.
and the likes of Georgia, and Penn State and teams like that.
Yeah.
Clemson, Oregon. You look at this ranking, and one would automatically think, well, why are they so low in the portal? Well, you've got to think, teams use the portal in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You look at what Signetti did with Indiana. You look at what Lane Kiffin's probably trying to do at LSU. Some people
Right.
build teams from the portal.
Right.
Other teams that have the constant good recruiting classes, top 2, top 3, your Bamas, your Ohio States, your Georgias, all those guys, they're using the portal in a completely different way. So to put it in context for you, they're
Yes.
plucking players and plugging them in where needed. So
Yeah.
I lost a good DB to the NFL draft. Okay, let me go grab a guy real quick. they're
Right.
not really trying to build their entire team around the portal. So that's another thing that stands out to me, Mike. And then we wouldn't be true Tennessee fans if we didn't at least bring up Tennessee in this transfer
I was gonna
portal.
say.
Yeah, we touched on it already a little bit in the last episode. Tennessee does rank 24th in this transfer portal ranking so far. So, as a Tennessee fan, with the season that we had last year being a little bit of a disappointment, I think it's also a disappointment to see us this low.
Yeah.
Um, you grabbed 20 players. Out of those 20 players, how are some of them going to pan out? You're not going to know until you get to the season, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but we lost 23 players to the portal. We gained 20 players. How do you feel about where Tennessee stands? Not to dive into it too deep, but I feel
Yeah.
like we got some good acquisitions. I mean, overall.
Yeah, man. I do, and going back to what you said, man. Yeah, by any means, like even when I was talking about Tech, or I'm just meaning like that's movement towards them eventually being good. I'm not going to say teams are going to be good because they're in the top 10 on this, because it is
No,
like you
no,
said,
no.
teams use this differently. Georgia, Bama, all the teams that are deep as far as their depth and what they got from recruiting and everything, they don't need as many transfer players.
Right.
So like they're really being picky on it, picking and choosing here what they need, and then that's about it.
Mhm.
Whereas some teams are really trying to reshape that a little bit. So with Tennessee being 24th, it is disappointing just because of I know we want need experience and stuff, but at the same time we're not in recruiting as far as in recruiting goes out of high school. So um,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's right. I've got that is not there
Hmm.
overall in the recruiting. And two 5 stars, 12 4 stars, 14 3 stars. I mean, so we're still doing good at recruiting, so that's nice to see. But yeah, it would have been nice to see a little more experience on this team. Um, but I think it's got a I think you want a balance right now of things, and um, Tennessee's just in a different spot than like Georgia or somebody who's really got a lot of debt. We're kind of in a spot where we need some more players with experience. So
Yeah.
um, that's probably the disappointing part, I would say, for us.
Yeah.
And man, another thing about LSU, they're setting 11 on recruiting as well. Um,
Yeah.
so a team like that setting 11 at recruiting. And a team like Miami, they're sitting 12th in this team ranking for the transfer portal, and they're 8 in recruiting. So
Yeah.
you definitely got some teams that kind of got a little bit of both worlds. But to give you an idea, in the we don't have to dive deep into this, obviously, but in the recruiting at a high school, third Ohio State, fourth Oregon, fifth Bama, sixth
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah.
You don't really see them teams hardly anywhere on that transfer portal list.
Right.
Um, but they can reload talent. They're still in that where they can reload talent. Some
Yeah.
teams aren't that deep to be able to do that. Um,
Right.
Indiana's 29th in that. They're going to get a lot of their talent from the portal, and that's been evident of how it was last year. But hey, that worked out for them too. So I don't know what it's different than just looking at straight up who recruits best now. There's a whole
Yeah.
new world with this transfer portal, man. So I think you got to get good at both. But
Yeah. You do.
unless you're just so like you said, unless your team just reloads so much with recruit, if you're in that top 5 recruiting every year, man, you
Mhm.
probably can just kind of pick out of the transfer portal and be successful too. So
Yeah. Yeah. You're right, man. You've gotta be strong in both fields.
yeah,
Because most of the time when you go in that portal and grab somebody, they're there for a year, two max. I don't know that you ever see anybody get picked out of the portal and stay at a school for 3 years, 4 years.
yeah,
You're going in and getting that quick turnaround time. You're getting that instant game changer type player.
yeah.
So yeah, something funny that I looked up while you were talking there. We were talking about James Franklin and Virginia Tech and how that whole situation went down, and then Tennessee has a little bit of ties to Penn State also now,
Hmm.
with the defensive coordinator and all that. Dude, I would almost bet, and I didn't look at this, but I should have. But I would almost bet more than half, if not almost all players that transferred from Penn State this year went to Virginia Tech and Tennessee because 12
Yeah.
players 12 players transferred from Penn State to Virginia Tech this year, following James Franklin. And then, with the defensive coordinator and all the Penn State players Tennessee got, dude, between Tennessee and Virginia Tech, we're stacked with a lot of Penn State
Yeah.
players and coaching staff, man.
Yeah. Definitely we live in a college football world where people definitely are going to follow
Oh yeah,
coaches, and can a lot easier now because you can leave so easily. I feel like, you want to transfer, you transfer. But
yeah,
yeah,
no doubt, dude, no doubt, man. Well, you know, uh, I had something else I was going to talk about, but I think we should just save that for another time, dude. Tom,
yeah,
that's
bro.
funny. But
The topic.
I
Yeah,
think we're good there, dude. I
yeah,
think we're good there, man. We talked a little college football. We talked a little bit about snowboarding, dude. You never know what you're going to get on this podcast. That's for
yeah.
sure. And
Oh,
as the off season moves on, you're going to see a little bit more of that, right, Mike?
yeah, for sure. It may seem random to some people who just kind of casually catch us and know that we're a college football podcast, but just to kind of reiterate, man, about the fourth and whatever name and where it came from.
Yep.
We're college football fans. We're not professionals. We're just fans. We like to just talk about football, so we're not deep diving all year into all these little recruiting details and everything. Um,
Yep.
and the whatever part, man, is the whatever topics that we have. So if anybody that's listening to us, just remember that if you catch us talking about some random stuff, because that's kind of how we want to envision this in the beginning. And now that the off season's here, I feel like we can really push more towards that. So
Yep.
you'll see us talking about a lot of random topics, and there'll be sports themed things thrown in a lot. I mean, even down the
Of
line,
course.
I know we're not even in it. We've never discussed really NFL, but everybody watches the Super Bowl. We're
Yep.
probably just going to throw something out there about the Super Bowl. We might be talking about commercials a lot too and stuff, but when those come along, we're not going to do deep dives. But we're those kind of topics obviously are going to be thrown out there. I'll probably mention March Madness when it rolls around. That's
Of
my favorite
course.
time to watch college basketball, but um, and watch. I feel like there's a lot of people's favorite time, but so that'll the sports team's always going to be there, but we're going to be throwing some different topics, man. It's not going to always stay football. So, and if you're,
Super Bowl's next weekend, right, Mike?
Super Bowl, yes, Super Bowl next weekend.
Not this
Yeah.
coming weekend, but the following one, right? Okay.
Wait. Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's. Look at that day. I think it's because I'm off this weekend, so I believe it is this coming weekend.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, we'll verify that. I don't want to get that wrong, but yeah, we'll verify that.
Yep.
Super
You
Bowl.
can you can tell I don't watch NFL. If I
Yeah,
watched the NFL, I should definitely know when the Super Bowl is.
I've looked it up because of because you got the Patriots and the Seahawks, and yeah, February 8th. So that
Okay, yeah.
is coming up. Um,
Yep. That's this Sunday.
yeah. My prediction right here. I'm just going to throw it out there if anybody's watching, because I know this is gonna this is gonna come out there. I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks um, over the Patriots. Do not take that. Take that with a grain of salt. I don't really. I've been paying attention some to the Patriots, honestly. I do like Mike Vrabel as a Titans fan. It's really disheartening to see. Um, it's the only time you're going to hear me say that I'm okay with the Patriots winning, though, because Mike Vrabel will get you a Super Bowl. Um,
Gotcha.
Usually I pull against them, but I don't know. Seahawks kind of been on fire this year, man. So
I got you, man. Well, looking at the spread, Mike, I mean, it's a 4.5 point spread. Um, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research on this subject, but just for the sake of the podcast, bro, you said you're going Seahawks. We'll get a little competition going on the pod, man.
so
I'm gonna roll with the Patriots.
yeah,
Um, and obviously on the next episode we'll talk about the Super Bowl, how it all went down. But
yeah,
we wanted to talk about the Super Bowl,
yeah.
but it slipped my mind when it was. That's so crazy. But
It did me too, man. And part of it's because who I want. I wanted it to be a Bills and Bears Super Bowl, so it kind of
got you.
just once your team once I mean, my team not even close. They were eliminated back in like week 3 or something. But once that kind of happens, and then the teams that are really kind of wanting to get in there. didn't.
Yeah.
So I lost track a little bit too, man. I just knew I was off for it. So, and that,
Hey, that's all that matters, dude.
hey, it is. So, yeah, we'll definitely have to break down. I tell you what, watch for your favorite commercial, because like our next
Yeah.
something in our next one, we'll and in the next video that we do, make sure y'all let us know what your favorite commercial was too, because we'll have a topic on that. Favorite Super Bowl
Oh yeah,
commercial. That's what everybody
for
likes to
sure.
watch it
For
for,
sure.
anyways, right? If you don't
Yeah.
like the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it seems like. I mean, that's people that never watch a football game all season long will watch the Super Bowl just for the commercials, just for the
Like
halftime.
college or
All the
NFL, like
pageantry.
don't watch any football and then all of a sudden watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, people have Super Bowl parties that don't even watch
Yeah,
football ever.
yeah,
So, but
that's true.
kudos to them, man. This is
Absolutely,
America,
man.
baby. You can do what you want.
Hey, that's right. But thanks everybody out there. Of course, that follows us. This year, I think you'll find it's going to be exciting as we get going with this, and
Oh yeah.
with just it helps. So the like and subscribe keeps us going, and we look forward to more things. Adam, as always, dude, this has been fun, man. Looking forward to more topics going into the future. So, but I'll see you, dude.
All right, brother. Take care, man.